Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of RAERAEs Review, where I'm about to tell you what done happened on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now we're gonna play a little catch up. For those of us who needs a little catching up and just going over some things, right? Because some things have happened, things have come to fruition, things is going on this show that we never thought would happen. I mean, the so-called Sweet 16 ain't so sweet. It's a little sour, we listen, they going through it and we going through it too, because we've been watching this show for how 16 years. 25 minus 16 since 2008, 2009. Folks come and gone. Folks can't come back. Folks done got litigious. I mean, child, folks been banned. It's too many shenanigans going on in Atlanta. I mean, but that ain't the only Real Housewives show with shenanigans now. We know that for sure, because New Jersey, we don't know what's going on over there. That's one of my favorites too. Well, I guess we just gonna dive on in. As you can see, the title says from episodes 10 to 16. You know what? I left off at 9. That's why I said we're gonna play a little catch up. But again, it's gonna make sense. It's gonna make sense, as I always do. Now listen. Remember back in episode 10. Remember that? When yeah. Remember when Angela was showing Kelly some investment? Well, we were introduced to Angela's investment properties finally, to see what's been going on up in there, letting us know she got stuff on the line. She about 2 to 3 million in the hole and all this, that, and the third. And Kelly came over there looking like she's about to go to bed, child. I mean, Kelly don't hardly wear any. Well, actually, Kelly did wear some clothes when she went when we saw her go to court, because she can't dress like that in front of the judge. You are in contempt, ma'am. Put on some clothes. Kelly sure know how to not wear some clothes, don't she? Anyway, this ain't about Kelly per se. This is about Angela and the investment properties. Now, again, just to remind you, remember when she was showing Kelly the investment property that they were talking about, the happenings of the show. And Kelly was looking like, oh, yeah, girl. Yeah. In the closet was nothing. Talking about if she want millions for this property. Girl, not when the main closet looking like that. That looked like a utility. That looks like my utility closet. And my house ain't nearly $1 million. Let me tell you that right now. And I'm in California. Southern, that is. Oh, Lord. Anyway, so back to Angela. This ain't about me. So again, she's showing the properties and talking about how much she in a hole for and it's investment properties, and even Charles happened to, bring stuff to and fro. So we later found out when she was interviewed by Carlos King that pretty much it sounded like she was swindled by no, actually she didn't say exactly who or she said, I'm not going to say the country from where they're from, But I was, advised to do this, that, and the third. So she did this, that, and the third. And when she went back to, finish out the deal, it wasn't happening on their end. So she was stuck like Chuck. Well, actually, they, meaning her and her husband, Charles the Oakley, was stuck like Chuck. Now, Charles was cussing up a storm because he looked like he can do a good cuss. Now, she did say they don't cuss at each other, but I know he must have been doing a good cuss after finding out that his wife they were duped. That's what it sounded like to me. You can go back and watch Carlos King came on earlier today. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, no, they didn't. They probably picked out a basketball, player's wife who most likely didn't have no, real skills or anything, but she kind of knew what she was doing because she was, doing realty and everything. But girl, I mean, that's a lot of people do. They flip houses to make money. Real estate is a great way to make money. Either you purchase it for yourself or you purchase it for passive income. And I can see why she wanted to flip properties. But girl, that many at one time, maybe try one. And maybe she wouldn't be in a hole so much, or maybe it could have sold had she put so much into that one property. But yeah, it sounded like she was duped with all that. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so like I said, round about episode 10, all that was going on. Then, like I said, we finally find out what really happened to all of those properties. And speaking of, remember when Angela was talking to Portia down to one of her other rental properties? Because Angela wasn't trying to have Portia in her own house. Certainly not nowhere near where her husband lays his head or walks around barefoot or farts in his sleep, whatever the case may be. She wasn't coming nowhere near Charles, but she had to explain, like I said, down to Carlos King, all this is coming to fruition. So Angela, back in around episode 10, she was telling Portia that her big BFF Shamia shared some things, and she thinks she and Shamia need to have a little tay-to-tay. You know what I'm saying? Because Shamia feeling like you don't, value her as your BFF. I'm like, oh. Now, Angela, is that really your business? Is that really your business? But it is what it is, Now, child, down to Carlos King, Angela was like, well, answering questions about whether or not she would allow Portia in her house near her man. Angela's like, well, I know my husband. And pretty much she said he won't fool nothing like that. He don't cheat. He don't do nothing like that. We're going to get to that cheating thing in a minute, y'all. Yeah, I know y'all probably heard the scoop earlier, but I'm going to let you know too. So, yeah, Angela was talking about how she wouldn't. Now, Britt said this, as Kelly divulged in the other night's episode, how Britt wouldn't let Portia near her husband or in her home, because of what she said about Angela's husband and what she did to Fallon's husband. Just saying. So back to around episode 10, Angela was talking to Portia, letting her know about Shamia, and just really, trying to get a feel for trying to forge, some type of rapport with Portia after Portia apologized for the comment she made about, what time is it? Got 10 seconds. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10 minutes. Okay, so because first 10 minutes you can't be cussing. So everybody heard Portia say she was gonna fuck Charles because her and Angela wasn't getting, just because Angela was trying to bring Drew around on her birthday trip and she didn't like it. Well, she better stop before I fuck her husband, Charles. Or what? Remember that? Yeah. So that I don't blame Angela. No, you can't come nowhere near my house. Like she said in episode 10, you can come to these investment properties all day. And since we got a little pickleball slash tennis racket set, we can come over here, play around a little bit and film. And that's what they did. And that's when Portia gave her fake cry, talking about, oh, showing no tears. Just, gaining more, trying to gain more sympathy because she know the public looks at her as how we look at her. I ain't gonna keep rubbing it in, but it's gonna come up. We got one more year of this? She just got divorced from the man 2 seconds ago. So it's gonna take a good 8 more months for us to stop calling her ATL's Jezebel. Just saying. Anything else people call it. Anyway, 265 days a year. Where was I with my notes? Anyway, so yeah, Portia and Angela. So Carlos asked Angela, do you think you'll ever invite Portia into your house? Angela was like, well, I'll tell you this. I will never forget what she said. We are working towards a better rapport with each other. And between episode 10 and this particular interview she did with Carlos, she is under the same guise. That heifer can't come nowhere near my house where my husband is at peace. Because as long as he is at peace, we at peace. And he can get a peace. And you know what I'm saying? And Portia ain't getting no peace. We all know Portia meant that. Again, we got a good 8, 9, 10 months left of dogging that woman out. Because don't nothing last forever, but it's a lot that we can say about that woman. Anyway, what else happened around episode 10? Because I'm catching up. Child, Drew and Ralph. So much has happened between them, child. It's just a shame that they have come to this. Now, we went from this around episode 10 from them pretty much stopped communicating after she cussed him out, after he won his after she lost what she didn't want to happen in one of their court dates and cussed him out from the car while he was standing in the shade with his crew. And I'm like, girl, why are you cussing him out on camera where he can use that? Girl, look, Bravo on them got enough of folks subpoenaing video footages to help in their divorce proceedings. Now, stop giving them ammo and anybody else going through. Well, Kelly's done, and that was a cut. Ooh, y'all, ooh, that thing with Kelly and her divorce. She gonna need protection 24/7 because that man. What she said about that man, we don't get to that in a minute. We don't get to that. So yeah, so that was pretty much it from episode 10. Wasn't no big to do regarding episode 10, other than what I said. And that sound bath situation, girl. That's when it all blew up between, with the help of Kelly, when it all blew up between Portia and Shamia. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my God. So now we're going to go to episode 11, right? Now, I guess episode... Child, now listen. We all love Charles. I think we do. I think he's one of those men that we've never seen before on TV. He's real. REAL. He ain't pussyfooting around. He sure ain't no Peter Thomas. No shade to Todd, but he ain't no Todd Tucker. He sure ain't no Mike Hill. And God bless the dead. He's a little bit like Greg, but Greg kind of played along. See, Charles, he don't look like he don't look like he gonna play along with anything that's gonna really compromise his integrity. Now he'll support his wife. Like I said, he's more or less like Greg, supporting their wife, but when it comes to integrity, And we've seen a little bit of the integrity lax with Todd, and a little bit of, with a whole lot with Peter Child. Ooh, the integrity, damn, they're gone. He in prison. Anyway, and with Mike Hill, because child, that thing with him and his daughter. Remember that, y'all? Where he was, child, they should have not. See, I know the girl is over 18, but when you're dealing with sensitive matters and children are crying. Now, she wasn't 30. 30 years old, that's one thing. Film it all day. But the girl just got grown. Or was she? That's what I'm saying. Because it seemed like he was like, is it bedtime or something? Anyway, all I know is they should not air that mess with Mike and his daughter. And Cynthia didn't know what to do. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe. Yeah, because it was awful of what Mike said. No telling what's on the cutting room floor, child. Hopefully they burn the footages. Anywho, where was I? Oh, yeah. So Charles ain't the type to be playing around. And as again, we're referencing the interview with Angela on Carlos King. I'm glad that she spoke about him, because she put him into a perspective of he ain't your average type of dude. Sometimes when you from a certain town and area, it says something, it means something. And we all know certain towns and cities have certain types of preconceived ideas about how folks is. Like, I'm from California. Oh, they must eat a whole lot of greens and vegetables. They're little fake in front with all that going on in Cali. Well, that, yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of real folks too. See, every area got they thing going on. But from what we see about Charles, he is no nonsense. And if you follow basketball like I have followed basketball all my life, what's up, aunties and uncles? Y'all know what I'm trying to say. He was no joke on the court. Big old man. Was he a power forward? Sure. He looked like a good power forward with some meat on their bones, child. You know what I'm saying? Woo! Just trying to tell you. Anyway, back to the show. Mm-hmm. This is not me trying to come on the chart, nothing like that. No. So if Angela's listening, watching, listen. If anybody know her, girl, no, this is general. A general power forward, not your man, because this is Lakers town all day. I really remember what your man did on the court, but we are of the same age bracket, so we know what was happening on the court back in the day. But yes, like I said, around episode 11, it was some, stuff that Charles had to find out. He was like, listen, I ain't trying to hear none of that. I ain't with all that. I'm here. What's for lunch? So she had to straighten out that he is not dismissive of me. He is very much deserving. He wanted me so bad that I know he was waiting for me all his life to get married. He's about 60 years old. She showed her passport in retaliation to everybody talking about she owed. She read Phaedra for filth and about, coming for her on this show. But she just really had to point out that, she has been low key living in Atlanta. She was not always in Atlanta. She was either on a flight somewhere, going somewhere, back in the hizzy, which is Chi-Town, where he's from. She had to let folks know. See, he met me when we were neighbors. I wasn't, so we was both, excuse me, we both had, some coins, you know what I'm saying? So she's a self-made woman, and he respects her. He loves her. And people just need to understand that when you're dealing with a man like her man, you'll understand. But like I said earlier, we haven't really seen a real man who is about his business on these housewife shows. And what I mean by that, a real African American man. Now I can give you some other ones, but we ain't gonna talk. We gonna just gonna streamline for Roa, like I gave you the examples. Ain't too many, men, husbands have been on this show. Either they cheating or they don't want to be bothered, trying to run games, scam. Like I said, the closest that Charles as a man is rest in peace to Greg Leaks. But like I said, Angela had made it straight up forward that her man loves her and he is not trying to hide her, as some frauds would try and point out. What else happened in episode 11? Just trying to catch folks up. So yeah, they just catching Cynthia up on what's going on because she's a friend. She ain't always around. Cynthia. Listen, I love Cynthia that she's back. She brings. It's like I hate to say this. Sorry, Cynthia. But when grandma is around, people kind of, shape up and fly right. I hate to say grandma because everybody on the show's an auntie. I think everybody is 40 by now. If you're 39, 38, you more big sis, but auntie is like 40 to 60, as far as I'm concerned. And we all know Cynthia ain't grandma, but I just said that because everybody pretty much on the show is an auntie, and Cynthia's the eldest, so she's respected. And more times than not, people, coming up, we didn't cuss in front of the elders, and people treated oh, let me help you, elders. You want this? We treated them real good, and we made sure that they had a pleasant experience around us. And we make sure that we cuss folks out outside. But anywho, like I'm trying to say, Cynthia brings a certain element to the show that brings back civility. You know what I'm saying? I really would love this show to have a little more, half more civility and less folks talking about they want to fuck folks' husbands and carrying on, and talking about people then went to the children's chop shop and oh my goodness, and stop trying to put folks news, for the whole wide world web to see. But yeah, episode 11, that's pretty much it. That was a big to do from episode 11. It wasn't a whole lot going on. You make sure I'm gonna look at my notes, babe. I'm gonna look at my notes. Oh, one more thing, Drew. Child. Drew and her mom talk about the kids change. And that's one thing I really wanted to touch on. When you don't recognize what's going on with your children or you're trying to hide it, because I think that was episode 1 of season 16. Well, the first episode we saw of Drew when it was going on when the daughter was acting like she didn't hear Drew when she said it's time to get your hair combed, it's time to get ready to go. She was climbing up the stairs and with that grin, like you ain't gonna do nothing if I don't follow what you say. Girl, talking about I'm gonna count 1 to count. Girl, I would have been cut filming and cut the audio. Cut the audio and the visual. So it won't be a vigil. You know what I'm saying? Listen, little girl, you ain't gonna try me on this TV. That's what you ain't gonna do. You know how you be in folks' face with your head bobbing. You may have to ruffle up their collars where it's wrinkled again. I ain't touch you. So you can't say I touched you. But if I did, I would and be proud of it. Let me tell you something, little girl. When I tell you to do something, ain't no more counting. You're the one who need to practice the counting, not me. I do not believe that a child growing up needs to be physically disciplined every chance you get. No. Or whenever they make you angry, especially no. All I'm saying is, what we're not going to do is film my kid disrespecting me on TV. That's what we're not going to do. Therefore, cut audio and visual. That's going to be in my contract. Whenever I need to get with my kids, get with / discipline my kids, it will not be for TV fodder. Sorry. Not sorry. So that's what I mean. I need to get my kid together, and all this is up under NDA. That's where I'm coming from. So I think it's not cute. First of all, to see kids act like that, it leaves room for us to give commentary on folks cheering when we all know people get sensitive. You don't talk about my baby. Don't be talking about, no, I'm talking about your parenting. And they're the kid cutting up, but more so your parenting. You have to protect the children. That's all. And to close out episode 11, right? That's when Portia and Shamia had their, tay-to-tay, straighten things out. And, and that's when we found out the real Kelly, because after all that, they had a little after show, and Kelly showed her tail as far as how she's willing to switch sides and get with the so-called heroes of the show. Folks need that check. And this is no shade, because, she said she getting bills. She, stuff, it's expensive, this piling up. And it's taking longer than expected to get that restaurant up off the ground. This divorce is taking much longer than anticipated. And of course, that's more money to the attorneys. And this fool ain't giving her no child support. He ain't even trying to, according to her. And child, what we found out on this week's episode, how we rounded all that out, girl, this man then got arrested at their last divorce court. Yes, he did. He, making terrorist threats to her, but apparently this was strictly up over non-payment of child support. Now, I wish they did this in California, but I ain't gonna say nothing else. Yeah, so Georgia said if you didn't pay your a court-ordered child support, you going to JAIL. And the records reflected that he wasn't. So at the end of all that court drama, and even Shamia was there, she was like, girl, you ain't divorced yet? She was like, no, girl, they arrested him for non-payment child support. She was like, oh, Lord, what's next? Child. And by the looks of Kelly's face, without all that clown, you know what? Without all that clown makeup, Kelly is pretty. Girl, I don't know, because a few of those confessionals, you look like Bozo the clown with that extra white, and it wasn't just a light child. It wasn't. I don't know if they mixed up your makeup with somebody else's, but girl, that wasn't cute. But anywho, just more fresh faced. Yes, ma'am. Kelly, you look great going to court. And I'm going to say this. Now, I'm strictly diggly, but I'm just going to say this. I can appreciate a woman dressed scantily clad, but when Kelly got on clothes, she looks great versus when she barely got them on. Just saying. Just saying. But yeah. Child. Now let's move on to episode 12, child. Where am I at? Did I finish episode 12? 12, child. 12, child. That Portia looking for a new house because, it's coming down to the wire. Girl, yeah, right. It didn't come down to the wire until recently. But yeah, she's looking for a new house. First of all, why is you in that man's house? Because you lied to us and said that y'all bought a house when his name is on the deed and loan. You ain't bought nothing. That's why that was the point of contention in all this. He was like, you can't film in my, well, if he's stopping you from filming in y'all's house, That's when I knew, oh, this heifer lying again. Why is she lying about they got that they bought a house? If you ain't signed nothing, you ain't bought nothing. Just lying, girl. When you gonna stop? And the lies don't stop, y'all. Because she posted something recently that was just utterly ridiculous, trying to pull up on the heartstrings regarding her child. Girl, bye. Anyway, so yeah. Girl, Britt was hosting remember that luncheon that she hosted for the ladies and invited other people because she really couldn't close down the country club. Talking about she lived right around the doggone corner, so she thought it was fitting to have it here. Come to find out, all that drama going on that she ain't paid the event planner, because the event planner came out recently talking about you still owe me such and such, when the event planner was saying, wait, don't try to badmouth me talking about I didn't do this, that, and the third when I did, and they moved me around so much that things wasn't going the way you wanted to. Yeah. Then come to find out, if y'all remember, at the country club, the country club is suing the husband for renting out the space that he didn't pay for. So folks ain't paying, and this was filmed in 24. They didn't get a notice of we want our money until 25. All that probably promising all of this, that, and the third. It's gonna be on TV and let's strike a deal, let's make a deal, and yada yada. Ain't paid now one red cent. Probably said, well, how about you skip the down and in lieu of us, filming here, and we'll just, make the payment when we make the payment, whatever that they agreed to. Well, apparently they reneged on the agreement because things got litigious, shall we say? And then all of a sudden they get litigious. Boy, I tell you what, scammer ain't a scammer till a scammer is a scammer. Anyway. And also, we want to just not forget that Angela's mom passed. Her last filming was Angela's first season on the show. And luckily, we got to see some resolve in regards to Charles and her mom. They weren't together on the set, but the mom did, say, and Angela did talk about this on Carlos King's show, how she was glad that her mom was able to say the nice, kind words about her husband, Charles. Charles and her mom got along, but folks, family gonna fight, family gonna have, issues and carrying on, and mama's gonna be mamas. But we all know that, her mom has some mental, health challenges, and sometimes we ain't always right, when we think we are, mental health or not. But rest in peace to Angela's mom. Yes. What else happened around episode 12, child? Drew got her recording signing deal, and fast forward to now, she got some music out. Haven't heard it yet. I think I'm gonna tune in tonight. Maybe by the time the reunion post, I'll give a review of some music. Then we see Portia visiting Phaedra. This is Phaedra's first episode in episode 12. Child. Phaedra came in talking about everybody. She talking about Charles was married. She talking about Britt got bodies. What else? Kelly was at the showroom, getting renting pieces. Well, that's what they do. They rent pieces. That's what the showroom is for. So I don't know why she would want to say that, but that's how Phaedra is. And speaking of Phaedra, child, the tea was spilled, baby. Angela spilled the tea today on Carlos King. Like I said, Phaedra's first episode was her talking about Charles was married. Oh, and that Drew is fluid, but we all know about Drew. Yeah. But about Angela, Now, if y'all all recall, remember how on Married to Medicine, when Quad was on the red carpet at the Step and Repeat, and some guy who turned out to be Mike for some reason came up to her and said that he was sleeping with Dr. Darren Noggles. Child. Lisa Nicole Cloud's husband. And Qua was utterly in shock, dumbfounded, bamboozled. Well, the same thing happened this past week with Angela, where they're filming. First of all, no one should have been able to get through to the talent. So I don't know what's going on with security. But it was at Kelly's event, one of her pop-ups, cooking pop-ups, where she invited Charles to co-cook with her. He was the only husband that was representing. I wonder why. And but she didn't invite everybody. She only invited Drew, Phaedra. Was it Cynthia there? No, Cynthia wasn't there. Drew, Phaedra, and Angela, because Kelly wanted to get to know them more because she hasn't. So those were the 3 housewives that she invited. If I'm forgetting somebody, my bad. But the main players is who I'm talking about. So some random dude, he said his name was Marcus, came up to Angela eating some of what they prepared. They were making banana foster, waffle, chicken, and carrying on, the simple things. And yeah, it's a taste testing and everything. And they had a good time. So while everybody has their portion, it was open to the public. So it wasn't like it was closed off. It was a closed set. So Angela's there, at this point, Charles is still in the kitchen area. So he wasn't privy to what was being discussed. And some random dude named Marcus will come up to Angela talking about, I just want to talk to you. I don't know if we can have a conversation. She's like, do I know you? You know the whole spiel. So pretty much he told her, your husband cheating on you. And then she was like, what? So everybody was like, you got to go with all that. Go on somewhere. So he found a way to get to the microphone where Kelly was, where she was making a toast. And that's when he said, even Charles didn't even hear that part. I think he did. But anyway, that's just me. Anyway, so the dude got on the mic and said that, yeah, and Angela, just let you know again that your husband's cheating on you and he been coming to my restaurant with some woman. Everybody was like, Then the man was escorted off the premises. Girl, he should have been escorted off as soon as he approached Angela. Talking about, can I talk to you? No, you can't talk to her. Take your chicken and go. And your waffle. Bye. Here's some water. He should have been escorted off. And then Angela said, had Charles heard that, see, like she said on Carlos King, he is big on disrespect. You cannot disrespect. We all know what happened down to Madison Square Garden, child, back in 2015, 16, 17. Girl, when we heard that, I said, Charles Oakley, oh my God, was that bro? Because we know, listen, dudes from the late 80s, 90s, when they played, they was big, husky, like I said, ain't nothing like a good power forward, baby. So yeah, if that's what he was, I think he was. But anyway, they have meat on their bones. When nobody all extra skinny like the dudes are now, they come in 2.2 pounds. Like, what is you doing? Anywho, so yeah, and that's when the fouls were different. When he played, if you got a bloody nose, you all right. Okay, we gonna warn you. Nowadays, if you breathe by the nose, it's what was it called? Flagrant 2. You ejected. So they got all these prissy child. Anyway, this ain't about basketball. So yeah, the dude was escorted out of the premises, and then she told Carlos that she investigated some more and found out that he knew that he's from Athens, and the only other person that is from Athens on the show is Phaedra. I mean, we all know Nini's from Athens. Nini ain't out there trying to trying to toil the toil the ground for new seedling. Child. Anywho, so like I said, Angela got her PI services together and found out that he knew some people that Phaedra knew, Phaedra's family members. It was like a 5-degree separation, not even 6 degrees of separation. And he said, yeah, it was Phaedra through her family. It was like, okay, tell so-and-so, tell so-and-so, just tell so-and-so to tell so-and-so to have him come up here and make a scene and whoop, whoop, whoop. Ain't that nothing? And what's funny is in this episode this week, episode 16, y'all, in the confessional, Phaedra wanted to act like she don't tell tall tales, and she don't gossip, and she don't do this and she don't do that. As soon as they were leaving the venue, as soon as she got into her car, she called Portia, who was over at Britt's house, who was also carrying on with Cynthia. So before she can turn the key in or press the button to turn the car on, she telling all of what happened. So yeah, I believe Angela until proven otherwise, because we all know Phaedra. Yes, we do. Was that all episode? What was it, 12? Child, where am I at? I tell you, folks, it's a trip, ain't they? Folks, it's a stone cold trip. So yeah, so that was it for 12. Now, let's get to 13 because we're gonna catch up real good, real good. Okay, so Shamia is hosting Kelly and Britt bringing supplies for Grenada because they're all getting ready to go to Grenada and do their big one. They had a hurricane recently, and Britt brought a box that wasn't even half full or even half empty of a few things of toilet tissue and I think a box of wipes, something like that. Everybody else did their big one. So apparently the whole mix-up was, and okay, I could be mistaken, but if you recall that episode when Britt came over to Shamir's driveway, pulled up in her Rose and her Birkin, dressed to the nines, baby, and came with that box. And Shamir was like, well, do you have anything else? She was like, yes, coming. As soon as she opened her mouth to speak, what the look on her face was like, I'm lying. Ain't nothing else coming. So apparently she had a talk with Kelly about what to do because she's new and she want to make sure that she ain't looking cheap and carrying on. Kelly brought a whole backseat worth. Well, I'd probably say about 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, maybe 20, 15 to 20 bottles of water and maybe something else. The girls were bringing stuff in left and right all day, all week, however. It was a short notice, however. They were bringing things and carrying on, but the person who brought the least and who donated the least was Britt. I think she donated $250. Everybody else did like $1,000 or something like that. So Shamir was like, it's time for us to do our big one. And, that's not what Britt did. Oh, Lord Jesus. So finally, Portia meet up with Drew. They talked. Portia couldn't stand the heat. Drew wasn't allowing her to just keep trying to change the narrative about Drew trying to get with somebody named Black or whatever his name was, some nickname. Like, no, that man got a woman, and no, we just friends, and no, I'm not trying to get into nothing. I'm not like you. My divorce is not final. I am still going through it with my now husband, and no, I just can't believe Portia was just trying to change the narrative so that we ain't got to talk about what she did to Fallon and what she going through probably because of what she did to Fallon. Fallon said that man talks about Portia like a dog, and it was proven on them social media sites, talking about how unsmart she is. Same thing Fallon said. I'm just saying. Again, we're going to keep talking about this woman for another good 8, 9, maybe 10 more months. Maybe on her next birthday, when she turned 45, we'll stop. Okay, she's 45 now, y'all. Let's stop it. But she don't have to stop the shenanigans. Now that she's finally divorced now, right in time for her birthday, child. Okay. Anyway. What else happened episode 13? Just to catch you up. Britt and Phaedra, child. Oh my God. Britt and Phaedra was rooming together. Angela and Portia roomed together. Cynthia and Drew roomed together. Child, it was just a cute little time that they had going over to Grenada. Shamia's luggage was stuck. Now I'm gonna tell you about my problem I had with my luggage. I think I may have told y'all this on one of these reviews last year. You know how you have luggage with locks, and TSA has a special unlocker for the luggage. Instead of trying to break into what looks like someone broke into my luggage, child, TSA in Georgia towed my luggage all the way up. Have the audacity to tell me that in one of those form letters that they give you on a piece of paper, we're not responsible for your luggage and yada. Oh, yes, you are, because ain't no other TSA that handled my luggage during this trip that I had. I even went international, and they knew what to do with my luggage. So the fact that as soon as it got into your hands, you want to break the lock instead of paying attention to the actual unlocker mechanism illustrated by the lock itself that says TSA. You want to break the lock. Child, I was so doggone mad. And they still refused to pay for it. Even though I pointed out everything, I pointed out what the seller said, black and white. I point out 3 or 4, 5 different, and I emailed my stuff and mailed it, okay, to them folks, and they still refuse to acknowledge that they were at fault for breaking my luggage. I'm gonna try and bypass Georgia's TSA next time I want to fly somewhere. I'll try some other. Anyway, what else is going on? Portia finally said she's sorry to Drew, child. Can you believe it? She don't want to fight no more. I bet she don't. So Portia was lying about filming with Ralph and, talking about, first of all, Shamia already gave up the ghost when she said, well, this is just a little payback for when Drew was filming with Dennis. Well, first of all, why are you announcing somebody else's get back? Again, lap dog. Stop fighting your friend's battles because your friend is too stupid to fight her own the right way. See, that's the problem. Folks always trying to stick up for this woman and do for this woman when she should have been sticking up and doing for herself. That produces more brain matter. But y'all just want to keep letting this heifer do whatever she wants because you've known her forever and she can bring you clout or whatever the case may be. No, make her accountable. Hold her accountable. That's what folks is supposed to do. She got a child. Look, we already know what happened on a 3-part commercial that she had trying to beat up her daughter's grandmother and carrying on. Oh, Lord. Folks gonna folk, child. Folks is gonna folk. What's next? Episode 14? I'm sick and tired of 13. 13 wasn't so lucky. It really wasn't. We're at 14 now. Here we go. Okay, first full day in Grenada. And Shamia still ain't got her luggage. They did what, 2-3 days, child? Anyway. Girl, why is Britt always defensive with Shamia? It was just, but I'll have to give it to Britt. Shamia was doing this passive aggressive mess, talking about you got to do your big one when you donate, and you can't just roll up in a Rolls Royce in a Birkin with a half a box of a few things, trinkets, and only giving $250. And then that's when Kelly, like I said, Kelly already turned on Britt. And that's when Kelly was like, yeah, you got to do this, that, and the third. Woo. First of all, what happened to backing up your friend? Especially when your friend came to you before all of that happened and you advised her on what to do. Now, whether or not she took your advice, that's one thing. But to further, drive the knife in her back, as far as I'm concerned, that's what Kelly did to Britt. And that's the only thing I'm gonna give Britt was what Kelly and Shamia did. Everything else, Britt is guilty. Guilty. So now they get ready to meet the prime minister. They all falling all over him like they ain't got no home training. Oh my God. I just can't believe Shamia was just in. Well, Shamia and Portia both is coming from the land of denial. They want to shoot all that's coming out their mouth, but again, throwing a rock and hiding a hand as if what they're doing is not what they're doing. Like filming with Ralph. Well, we were just having dinner. You knew who was going to be there, Portia, because your friend already dimed you out. This is payback. And that's what you do to women. You pay back. Don't you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ciao. Anyway, what else is going on down to the Grenada the first night? Oh, Britt mad, Portia cut her off, and Angela announced Charles don't wear his ring, and then they just all going off, falling over the fact that he don't wear his ring. He don't, first of all, you gonna wear your ring. So then they tell her, why she keep announcing things that it's just don't cause up a stir about her man. First of all, why do you care if he don't wear his ring, Portia? Is that a sign for you? Was that an open door policy for you? When men don't wear their wedding rings? Oh yeah, he don't wear his ring, girl. You know what that means? You know what that means, girl? Girl, if he don't wear his ring, I don't wear my panties. That's not something she would say, don't it? Yes, it do. You know it do. Shoot. What else happened, child? Like I said, prime minister come, they falling on over themselves. They go, oh yeah, he cute. Oh my God, oh my God. Now this part is what took me. Shamia talking to Gerald. He mad at the nanny talking about it's too cold in the house, and it sounded like he said the nanny was throwing Shiloh about like manhandling the baby or mishandling. Like, first of all, what? And the nanny still living? The nanny is coherent. You mean the nanny got all her teeth? Is that the nanny you talking about? The nanny ain't lumped up. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because the baby already looked. Oh no. The baby's sick. The baby been sick since in utero. And you mean to tell me you letting some nanny heifer roll your baby around like she making biscuits? Oh no, I hope. I know with all that going on, you must have cameras in the nursery. Where I know, I noticed she got two sisters that be over there and a mama. You mean tell me all Gerald didn't take the baby while they talked to her? Child, now I know you can't put everything on TV, but I know, child, and they from Georgia, they from Atlanta. Listen, I had to almost lump up somebody down to the play place the other day, but that's a different story for a different time. Child, let me tell you, that's a ooh, wait till I tell that story. Anyway, so she's dealing with that, and the baby's sick. Apparently, the doggone nurse had the AC on frozen, and the baby can't be sick because she already sickly. The nurse wrapped up like she in Antarctica, and they got good HVAC because that's what Gerald do. So the whole room is ice cold, and the mama said she had to put the baby skin to skin, and it took an hour to warm her up. Child, do you know it'll be a? You mean tell me that was it for episode 14? We got for 14 because child, that ain't even my baby, and I'm like, what? Mm-mm. I don't know what y'all doing over there. I don't know what y'all doing over there, but y'all need me over there. If I had any clinical experience, shoot, just shoot. I know you could afford me with all that y'all got, and you best believe leaving her with me is like y'all being with her, because I'm old school too. Both sides of my family is from the South, but we migrated to California in the early 1900s, so it is what it is. But yeah, girl, episode 15, because I ain't got time. Wild night after all that arguing and carrying on. They had a wild night, child. When girls go wild, girls go wild. I don't know why these aunties want to commence to twerking on each other. Coochies on backs, coochies on butt cracks, coochies on coochie. What? Ain't none of y'all lesbian or y'all, well, we know Portia, she go all kind of ways. But ain't nobody else doing that. Ain't nobody said they doing it. So I'm gonna take it as she the only one who does it. Why? Women, it ain't the thing to do. Like I said before, if you ain't lesbian, stop acting like it, because you're giving off false hope, and you ain't portraying folks right anyway with all this carrying on. How about you do all that during the daylight? You don't want to. You only want to turn lesbian when the lights is out, when the street lights come on, and you got Henny running through your veins. That ain't no proper representation of lesbians. That's not what only lesbians do. Show us lesbianism during the day. Child, anyway, back to 15. So Angela talked to Drew, they gagging, over Britt and how she was just falling over Shamia after all that. She was trying to tell people off now that Shamia going through with her child. Now she want to be Shamia's whisper and carrying on. They just mocking Britt because Britt was doing way too much. Way too much. Everybody's like, oh, Britt. I don't know if she was trying to get back in and yeah, she was scamming. She was scamming. And Shamia checks in at home and Gerald's like, everything good, baby got a little something, but it's all right, we working through it, and it is what it is, child. Cynthia visit Portia. Then Phaedra comes over, and then they got the tea on Britt, talking about she got inverted nipples and how they had to get all that what do you call it? Anyway, they were talking about the tea on Britt and how she got inverted nipples. And then Portia reveals that Cynthia has a hooded clitoris. Child. What? I looked it up and I said, that's like a hooded clitoris. Cynthia couldn't believe Portia just spilled her tea like that. I couldn't believe it either. See, that's what, I want to say cut. Bravo, something. Cut that out. No, cut it out. We can go back to the inverted nipples. So So then we get to Britt and Kelly. Now, this was a perfect opportune time for Kelly to tell Britt how she felt. But Kelly chickened out because she didn't want to ruin her game of trying to get in good with Shamia and or Portia. So Britt visits Kelly, right? And was letting her know how she didn't appreciate the level of backstabbing she was doing when Shamia was, playing her passive aggressive game with her in regards to the donations. She said, well, we're supposed to have it tight. And I believe, like I said, this is the only time I'm with Britt was talking about Kelly not being a true friend. Now, even though they met on the show for the most part, from my understanding, they weren't like buddies before the show. They came in as Ace Boone. I mean, from episode 1 to around episode 12, I mean, Kelly throwing parties for the girl and doing all these extra things, even donating her glam team, and that's where the point of contention is. Britt asked her, is it about the glam stuff? She was like, I just want you to, blossom and just, be who you are. And this is pretty much the same thing Britt was saying. But Britt was really hoping Kelly would let her know why is Kelly kind of like turning on her. And then we find out later in episode 16, child, that Kelly was upset about Britt using her glam squad from everything about her glam squad, even though she invited Britt to use. First of all, if you don't want her to use it, you should have invited her to use your team. Now, unless her appointments are interfering with yours, what's the problem? But if that's your team, you should have never invited them. And furthermore, if they want to get paid, they're gonna get paid. So you ain't their only client. Have fun. So it is what it is. And it got real ugly episode 16. Wait till we get to that, child. But yeah, ladies have brunch, and then Shamia has a hat photo shoot thanks to Portia, this big old hat. Now, mind you, Shamia's luggage came in last night, child, the night before, when and all that oil and carrying on, child. Britt helped. First of all, Phaedra said Britt was all up in her crevices and cavities, getting the oil out, and she's seen every part of Phaedra. I bet she did. Them two would. You mean tell me a grown-ass woman, 30, 40, 50 years old, can't wash herself? It's chasing the clout for me. I mean, that jab is what they were talking about. That's where they got all the oil and everything. I want to go to Grenada, but I don't want to participate in jabs. I don't want no oil stuff on me. I will watch it from a distance, but then again, I'll watch it from my balcony because I saw it on TV real up close and personal. And pretty much everybody there was almost dry fucking. And I don't know what is mixed in with this oil coming off of him to me. Because that's what they were, it looked like they was dry. I'm just trying to tell you what I saw. And if you ain't seen the episode, go back to episode 15, you see all that stuff. Like, and them, listen. Let's just let's just, call a thing a thing. All them Africans over there in Grenada is what these women been wanting all for the last 12 years. Well, I'll say 6 for the last 6 years. And that's all that was over there. Some nice, beautiful Africans over in Grenada. Now they are Grenadians, or forgive me, I don't know the exact term. They're all African. Everybody there is dark. Everybody there look like Africa. Beautiful country. Can't wait to go. But I don't want no jab. Now, I don't want that jab. Anyway, they had a great time. I'm glad. Ciao. Anyway, so the next day, everybody's getting ready. to go. Kelly talking about her divorce drama. And like I said, her final thing was him getting arrested. Because he wasn't paying child support, but now, as of now, she is divorced. Good for her. Now, all this took place around October, November last year. So it took an extra 6 months for her to be divorced. Child. Now, the most recent episode 16. Shamia and her family go to the doctor checking on Shiloh. She got the baby oil down. If anybody, now I'm pretty sure everybody who watched me know that, when us, African Americans growing up, we kept Vaseline on our bodies. It was grease from head to toe. We had the blue grease in our hair. And from the hairline to the soles of our feet was Vaseline down. Then we started using lotion after that. Olive oil. In my household, in my family lineage, it was olive oil. And then we started using some aloe vera. Child, that's why our skin is just beautiful, child. Beautiful. Like Shamia said. That's why we can walk around with no foundation. Hello. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And so they're just checking on Shiloh, but apparently Shamia got strep throat. And I'm like, girl, why aren't you wearing a mask if the baby is susceptible to everything and anything? Girl, we know what you look like. Put on the mask. Anyway, Phaedra and her family, the boys are getting grown. Miss, what's his name? What's the first one? I could forget the first name, but the second one, Dylan, aka Mr. President. Child, he making clothes. He done showed up and showed out towards the end of the episode. Child, we get that in a minute. Kelly and her divorce court drama, like I said, Angela calls and get caught up on everything while Shamia's visiting. And Britt was a no-show. Britt knew, but they got, some issues going on because Britt is telling stuff about Kelly to people because that's what trifling heifers do when they're not really your friends. Mm-hmm. Told you about the cook-off thing with the dude named Marcus approaching. And child, I also heard something about Marcus that he may have some pedo charges. See, everything's a mess. So now, Britt was hosting Cynthia and Portia, like I said, and tells on Kelly how Kelly was, not a good friend, and just, at the same time, Britt's dog is humping on everything and everybody, making me uncomfortable watching. Then she let him hump on her arm and knee. Like, girl, so you into dogs? That's what that's telling me. Because everybody who has a dog that I knew growing up and know would not allow their dog to hump on them or anything else in the house. They would pat his butt, stop it, yell at it, stop it from doing it. But she's allowing it. Oh, that's cute. No, it ain't cute. What else is the dog doing? What's the dog doing? But yeah, Britt is just backstabbing Kelly, telling all her business and just being real trifling. So then we get we're getting ready for Phaedra. She's going to host a shop event down to Viscani or something with her and her partners where they have real and fake not labels, but real labels. But then they have faux and real furs and leathers and all sorts of fine luxury items for people to rent and or purchase. And they're going to have an event tonight. Portia calls Phaedra and lets her know that her cousin Londi died. We all know Londi, light-skinned cousin, real pretty. She passed away suddenly. We don't know what for. We just gonna say rest in peace, Londi. We miss you, girl. and say hi to all of our loved ones up in heaven. Yes, ma'am. So we're getting ready for the shop event. Everybody comes in, but Drew is late. Phaedra starts on time. Drew had to wait outside in her leather. Okay. Hungry and asking security for some chicken wings while she waits. Child, I wish I would have left. Anyway, so they have a real nice event. Everybody's coming in, like I said, but Drew was late, so she got to wait outside. Kelly ignores Britt as she comes in. They get to tussling verbally, and Kelly let her know that, you a hoe. And Britt was like, well, at least I don't have abortions while I was married. Like, oh, everybody's like, oh my goodness. And yeah. They went at a child. Because well, actually first Kelly said, with your pill popping ass. And then that's when the abortion came out. And then that's when the hoe came out, just to be clear. Child, they say Kelly stay at the children's chop shop. What? So Drew finally come in. And that's when we see Dylan's debut of his leather cargo pants. What's the eldest name? Is that what a D? Anyway, the eldest came out and he's 3 or 4 years older. So he's going to be the manager and help, run Dylan's business. And that was it, y'all. We got one more episode for the finale coming up. And then hopefully it's just 2 parts for this reunion because, child, it need to be 90 minutes if you ask me. But yeah, that was it, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll catch you next time. Bye. All day.